Hey guys, welcome back to another Big Rook Games tutorial where we are showing you how to remake Call of Duty Zombies, and today we're going to be adding a stage that we pull free off of the asset store. We're going to modify it a little bit so we have a couple zombie spawn points, and we are going to make our game management script so we can determine where and when we are going to be spawning our zombies in. And this is the map we'll be working with today. I modified it a little bit so we could have some spawn points. But let's get started. I'm going to create a new project and start from scratch and show you how to get everything going. So I'm going to call it Zombies Game Tutorial. And this will create a new project. So we have our new project here, and the first thing I'm going to do is download the map that we are going to use off of the asset store. So go to Window, Asset Store. And there's a lot of good maps on the asset store that you can get for free. Just go to 3D Models and click on Environments. And the first page has a bunch that are free. We are going to be using the one called FPS Hangar. If you can't find it, just search for FPS space Hangar, and then download and import into your scene, and then make sure everything is selected by clicking the All button and click Import. After you import the hangar into your scene, we want to go to the pre-made scene that they provide for you, which can be found in the scene folder called Hangar. Double click on that. Don't save, we didn't do anything on that scene. This will bring up the pre-made scene, and if you press play, it will show you a preview of it. The first thing we're going to do is disable the camera that they have showing the level, which in the hierarchy is called Hangar Wanderer, and just click the parent object and click the checkbox to disable it. So they also have a first-person controller included in the package, and it is disabled by default, so if you want to enable that and click play, you can see what it is like in a first-person type mode, and the sensitivity is super high, which you can change also, but I'm also going to disable all of the particle effects that you see. It'll just make development a lot easier. Exit out of the scene. And in the hierarchy, click Particles, and you can see if you open the particles, there's just a ton of stuff going on there. I'm going to disable everything there. And in the first-person controller, they have 2 camera scripts, which I don't really know why, but I am going to change the sensitivity down to 1 on the X and the Y. So now when you click play, it's a lot better. You can run around and jump. I don't think this controller allows you to go up ladders, but we'll add that. The first thing I'm going to do is create a script that will handle everything that's happening in our scene. I'm going to call it Game Manager. This will determine how many zombies are spawned, when to spawn them, where to spawn them, how many players are alive, and just the game state management of our scene. So I'm going to go to Game Object, Create Empty. I'm going to name this Game Management. And I will add a script there. I always use C# scripts, I'm going to call it Game Management. This is where we will add a lot of our code that handles the level, but to get started, let's add some of the simple things. And usually I put public in front of my variables, even though later on I will remove that, just so you can see what's going on in the editor when you're doing things. Here we will just want to hold all of the variables that we think we'll need in our stage or our game. So the first thing we'll need is a variable to tell us what round we're on, and it's going to start on round 1. And then today I will show you how to place your spawn points where you want the zombies to spawn. So for that, we will need to know how many zombies we want to spawn in the round that we're in, and also how many zombies have been spawned. So I'm going to create 2 more variables, integer zombies in round, and integer zombies spawned in round. So this means that our first round will have 10 enemies, and we will increment that each round. So now down in our update function, we want it to check to see if we need to spawn an enemy. So I'm going to create an if statement that says if zombies spawn in round is less than zombies in round. And when we spawn the enemies, we don't want them to spawn all at the same time or all within like a second. So I'm going to create a timer that will put some time in between the spawns. I'm going to create a float zombie spawn timer and set it at 0. I'm going to create another if statement, zombie spawn timer is greater than 30. Then I want to spawn a zombie, and we will create a new function down here called spawn zombie. And this is where we will put all of our code for spawning the actual models into the scene at the specified location. But for now, we'll leave that empty, and we will just make sure that we call that here, spawn zombie. And each time it spawns, we want the zombie spawn counter to reset. So zombie spawn counter, our timer equals 0. And also, we need to increment the timer each frame. So I'm going to put zombie spawn timer ++, and to make sure that this is consistent, I'm going to make it a fixed update. That just ensures that each time this function is called, the same amount of time has passed in between function calls, whereas in the update it can vary a lot. So now we need a variable to hold all of our spawn locations, so when we do spawn it, we know where to spawn the enemies. So I'm going to put a public transform, and here the autocomplete isn't working. Transform should be coming up. That just means that you need to sync your Unity with the MonoDevelop, so go to Unity, Assets, Sync MonoDevelop Project. It'll ask you to save if you haven't, and when it comes up it should autocomplete everything. So open back up Game Management, and there's our transform zombie spawn points. And this will be an array of spawn points, so make sure that your variable is an array as well. And when we put these in our scene, we will just drag them right into the script in the menu, so we don't have to declare or define these in the script. So now we have our script that will spawn zombies every 30 function calls. So now let's go back to our scene and create spawn points. In the map that we have, there's not really great places to put spawn points right now. I like when they're coming out of the wall, so I'm going to take one of the little buildings that he has, and I'm going to copy and paste it in the scene. It'd look good right about here, so I'm going to drag these, or you could delete them as well. And I'm going to select the building we just copied and pasted and put it over to where we want the spawn point to be. So I'm going to put it right along the desk over here. And the barrel's kind of going through the wall, so I'm going to move that. And we'll have our spawn window right here. And so the script knows what location we want the spawn to happen. We will create a cube as a reference point. And I'm going to rename that spawn point 1. So we can see the cube, make it a little smaller. And this is where I'm going to have the zombies spawn. I'm going to hide it so when they do spawn, the player can't see it. And this barrel needs to go, it's in the way, I'm going to move it into the scene. So now we have our spawn point here, and I'm going to use that same building on the other side of the map. So I'm going to copy the building and the cube. So have both the cube and the building selected, and copy and paste. So now when we move this, we will have the same spawn point in our second spawn, but across the room. And I'm going to put it right here on the other side of the map. I'm going to move this wall so we have some room, and select our new barracks and our new spawn point. I'm going to drag that over to our new location. And we will need to rotate this so the windows face towards the level. So in the Y rotation, select -90, and I'm going to move it so it blocks this doorway. And we have our second spawn point. And you can see our cube spawn point here. In the third spawn point, I'm going to put inside the level in the top of the tower, up here. So in this room will be our third spawn point. And they will be able to come out this door and fall off the edge. So I'm going to copy our spawn point box. I'm going to change this to spawn point 2 and copy this, name the copied one spawn point 3. And I'm going to take the third spawn point and put it up in this tower. The easiest way to do that is select something in the tower and double click on it in the hierarchy so that your view is moved to that object, and then select your cube, spawn point 3, and go to game object, move to view. That'll set it to whatever you focused in on, and I'll have the spawn point right here. So now we have our 3 spawn points, and we need to tell the script where those spawn points are. So I'm going to create a new empty game object so we can nest all of our spawn points in one place, and call that zombie spawn points. And then drag your spawn points into that parent object. So if we select the game management object that we created earlier that includes our script, we can see the zombie spawn points variable array here, and we can drag all 3 of our zombie spawn points into that array list. So when we want to spawn the enemies, we will check the location of the player and spawn to the closest few spawn points to the player so they're not spawning across the map on bigger levels. And that is it for the spawn points. We have our 3 spawn points. We modified the map so they would be coming from the walls and not in the middle of the map except for the tower. So in our next tutorial we will show you how to add the zombies into the game at the zombie spawn points. And we will show you how to have them track the enemies so that they're following you and moving towards you the whole time. But that's it for this time. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If there's any other tutorials that you'd like to see, let us know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of these videos, or if it helped you out at all. And as always, we will be including the Unity package in the description so you can pull the finished product of what we did today from our website. And we will be continuing to release these tutorials once or twice a week until we have a completed game, and we will provide all the assets to you for free. And that's it. Thanks guys, see you next time.